I hate the hiccups. Controversial take. Who likes the hiccups? I really hate the hiccups. About a month ago, I was talking to my aunt, who's a doctor currently in the midst of a residency program, about my old topic for the speech. It was going to be artificial food coloring and its effects on the human body, but I couldn't come up with good points to create a strong speech. After droning on and on in our conversation, we decided to have a coffee break. After my first sip of coffee, I had the worst case of hiccups of my entire life. It was so bad, I actually considered going to urgent care. No joke. It lasted hours, and I began to feel really sick to the point I wanted to puke. After a lot of internet research and all these pseudoscience internet cures, nothing worked. Nothing exists. So that inspired me to do my topic for this current speech, which is informative. This is an informative speech, not a persuasive speech. I'm not allowed to persuade you to hate the hiccups, but I'm pretty sure we all do. After a holy crusade and personal vendetta beyond the strength and power that of the sun, I've taken it upon myself to help you know what the hiccups are, what causes the hiccups, and how to defeat the hiccups. With that being said, what are the hiccups? Well, we all know what they are, but what are they exactly? Quoted by medical researchers Moaz Massoud, Pearl Yuri, and John Yap from Augusta University, hiccups, also known as singultus, are a common occurrence caused by involuntary repetitive contractions. But to normal people and not nerds, it's the sound. Singultus, that's the medical term for the hiccups. It's derived from the Latin word singult, meaning to gasp or catch one's breath. That's exactly what a hiccup is. It's to catch your breath. Not at all, actually. It's quite the opposite. The hiccups don't really involve your breath that much, but they do affect your breathing. Really, in reality, they're a muscle spasm. So let me explain. We typically assume that when we hiccup, our lungs are the origin. They're related, but they're not the source. The real source is a series of muscle spasms and contractions resulting in the rapid closure of an airway. That area is your glottis. You can see here, this is your glottis. This is the anatomy of your larynx, also referred to as your voice box, located within your throat region. Your larynx is responsible for a plethora of respiratory functions. The glottis specifically is the gap between your two vocal cords. When we hiccup, it's the involuntary rapid closure of this exact area that causes the phenomenon and infamous noise. Now, we know that the glottis was responsible. What causes the glottis to make that noise, though, however, is your diaphragm. Shown here, just below your lungs and right above your stomach, your diaphragm actually is responsible for the hiccups. When we inhale, our diaphragm becomes real tense and expands. When we exhale, it softens and shrinks. Your diaphragm actually causes your lungs to flux in and out and allows you to breathe. Back to the larynx, the diaphragm is responsible for the spasms of the glottis and the vocal cords within your larynx. Bear with me, thank you. With all that being said, what is responsible for causing the diaphragm to spasm? Anything. I mean, literally anything. It can be a lot of things, and I do mean a lot. According to both Dr. Shi Guo Zhang and Dr. Peter Corrales, both specialists in the field of gastroenterology, the study of stomach diseases, the hiccups can be caused by spicy food, carbonated drinks, burping, sneezing, coughing, drugs, meningitis, tumors, abscesses, skull fractures, aneurysms, ulcers, surgeries, and plain old heartburn are just the tip of the iceberg. But for most of us, it's probably just either hot Cheetos or Sprite. It can literally be anything. In my most recent case, in my personal experience, it was hot coffee. Most cases of the hiccups have typical causes. It's nothing really extreme, nothing really intense either. What you would think with those typical causes, there's typical cures or treatments. Those typical cures and treatments are literally nothing. There's nothing. There is no official cure. That sounds bad. Let me rephrase that. There's no cure per se, but there are cures. It's more of a loose term. Much like the variation of hiccups, there are somewhat an equal variation of treatments, not cures. However, unlike the causes and cures, they're not as academically nor medically certified. So they're like at-home remedies or colloquial things you heard from an aunt or an uncle, but they're not real treatments or real cures. However, there is one cure, and we'll get to that in a second. According to medical researchers of Mercy St. Vincent Medical Center, Justin Cole and Micah Plua, a drug by the name of chlorpromazine is the go-to drug for up to 2 extreme cases of hiccups. Has anybody taken chlorpromazine before? Good, I hope not. It's a hardcore narcotic, and it's used to treat mental illnesses. So there are cases of hiccups that are so bad that they last days, months, weeks, lifetime. You can have hiccups for life. That's a real thing. But those are really rare. They don't happen that often. Like I said, most cases of the hiccups are really tame and they go away within a few hours, sort of. Quoted by Dr. James Lewis from his article, Hiccups, Causes, and Cures, because so many reports of the hiccups and cures are based on anecdotal experience rather than controlled clinical studies, I review available treatments to provide a rational approach. What the hell does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. In doctor talk, that means I have no goddamn idea. How do you approach or treat something that has no cemented cause? Well, you can't do it. Try holding your breath, maybe, until they go away, or like drink something hot or drink something cold. There is no guaranteed way to cure the hiccups. If doctors don't have any solutions, none of us do. In conclusion, there is no definitive cure or treatment for the hiccups, nor is there a definitive trigger. They can happen anytime, anywhere, for any reason. They happen on rare occasions, but when they do, they really suck. I hope after my schizomedical lecture you learned a thing or two about the hiccups. Next time, remember, nothing can help. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You probably have a tumor and you're going to die. But on a more serious note, they're a muscle spasm and they're outside of your control. Just relax, try breathing in and out, but most importantly, relax. They'll fade and you won't remember what they are until they happen again, probably for a really long time after. My name's Eli. I hate the hiccups.